You'll have to excuse the mess behind me today. Hello and welcome to episode 30 of the Sweet Lavender Knits podcast. My name is Christine and I'm coming to you from just outside of Toronto, Ontario in Canada. Welcome to those that are new and welcome back to anyone that's returning. Thank you for coming back and joining me in yet another knit night. I don't have a local knit night to go to, so you have been invited to mine. The podcast is mainly about knitting, my knitting adventures, and maybe some sewing and crocheting occasionally, and other crafts as I fancy them. You can find me on social media on Instagram as sweet_lavender1 and on Ravelry as sweetlavender1. Today is April the 27th, 2019. It's a beautiful, bright, sunny day outside. A little cooler in temperatures as expected, but it's a beautiful day. So I have my drapes wide open. You're here with me in the bedroom, my little chair by the bed with my little knitting nook. And yes, and I have a whole bunch of stuff behind me that I'm wanting to show you or share with you in this podcast. Why don't you grab your needles, something nice to drink, your favorite project, and let's get started. Thank you very much for joining me again. And first of all, I want to thank all of you for your support with your comments, both here on YouTube, your likes, and just subscribing. We're almost at 300 subscribers, which is great because that's how big our knit night is. And it's just nice to have more people join in who are like-minded and who enjoy the same crafts as we do. With that said, I do want to mention that we have a lovely Ravelry group on Ravelry, obviously, and it's called the Sweet Lavender Knits group. So do check us out there as well. And if you like what you see, join in and feel free to introduce yourself in the welcome thread. There is a thread called Let's Chat, and that's just about anything that you're working on, or if you come across something that you want to share with the rest of the group, that's where you could do that. We also have a KAL going on right now. I say knit along, KAL knit along, but it's definitely not just exclusively for knitting. It could be crocheting or any other craft that you would like to do. It's over the next 3 months, so April, May, June. It started on the 1st of April and goes on till the end of June. If you have not started your project as yet, don't worry, you can still do so. There's plenty of time. We have 2 prize threads, so there will be monthly prizes. And those are for smaller projects or things that you can finish within the month. And I have now set up the FO thread for the monthly prize, and I will be picking a winner at the end of April. I'm gonna see, because there aren't too many people who have joined in as yet. So if it's just gonna be one person in there or 2, I would feel a little unfair to pick one over the other, because you've both made an effort maybe to finish and I hope you will be okay with me extending that to the next month. But I will be picking up just a post out of the chatter thread, so always feel free to join in with the chatter. And I'm gonna say that you don't have to finish an object to win something in the chatter thread. It's just gonna be you taking part and for your participation, and just to keep it lively in the chatter thread. So please do join in there, and you can always hashtag on Instagram with SLK for Sweet Lavender Knits. Let's knit KAL 2019, and that's the hashtag. I'll put it up on the screen as well for you. So that is about the knit along. And then the other thing is I do have to say a very big thank you to Sandra, whose Ravelry ID is I Love My Garden, for doing this ginormous feat of putting up show notes for all of my past episodes. We are at episode 30, if I didn't mention it already, and she's done such a great job in putting all of the show notes up there for anyone who wants to refer to the past episodes. And hopefully I'll be able to keep up with it. I'm not sure about that, but I will do my best. Let's leave it at that, I guess. But yes, if you have any questions on any of the episodes, do feel free to post in under the episode thread, or in, you know, just if it's a quick enough question, you can always ask me on YouTube as well. I guess just as an update over the last 4 weeks, it's been 4 weeks since I've last podcasted, and we were just hit with the second round of flu, I think, in my household. So my kids have been sick, and my youngest son, who's 10, has been affected the most. He's been down without school for the past 2 weeks. He's been really, really sick, and we've had to take him in and out of hospital a couple of times. And thankfully he's on the mend now, and hopefully should be good enough to go to school tomorrow. But yeah, I'm still hoping that'll work out, and keeping my fingers crossed on that. So there were periods of time or a few days in between, like gaps of a few days where I did not knit at all, either because I was not feeling well enough to do anything, and all of my knitting at that point required me to read a chart, and so I had to just put it off for a while. And I'm glad that I was able to get some knitting done. So yeah, I have a few things to share with you. So moving on to finished objects. This finished object makes me very, very happy. And for those who haven't guessed already, it is my BOWMONT jumper that I am wearing. And it is a little too warm for today because this is wool, and it is a really nice day out there, but I had to wear it on just for you guys to show you how well it turned out. Well, I think it turned out really well. I like it. It fits well, and it feels nice to wear, and it's all blocked and finished and, you know, sewn up and everything, except I just found one end, or one bunch of ends that I had not sewn in, and I don't know how I missed it, but you're not going to see it because it's on the inside of my garment. But yeah, other than that, it's ready to go. So let me just stand up, and I'm going to reposition the camera just a bit so that I can show it to you. All right. Okay, so here we go. I'm standing up, and it is a really, really nice construction where you start off on the on the right sleeve. You cast on, and then you work all the way across through the yoke. I'll come down like that through the yoke, your neckline opening, and then work down your left sleeve and bind off. The pattern did not ask for it, but I used a tubular cast on and a tubular cast bind off or cast off, and I love the finished look. It has a very, very nice look to it. The sleeves, I made it just slightly long because I like that length of the sleeve where it hits just below your wrist, or the beginning, the widest part of your palm, and it just feels very cozy. And this sweater is going to be one of those cozy knits, and I thought, why not just make it a little more cozy? So yeah, and then you pick up around the yoke, and then you're working in the round, and it's just a whole sea of stocking knitting all the way down, and you end off with this lovely folded hem that's seamed. I will bring it in close so you can see that it is seamed in with a whip stitch. I've done that there. I also like this really nice detail of a false hem, where you're working one row of purl stitches all the way on both sides to create the look of a false hem. So I'm just going to sit down and reposition the camera there. So yes, and I'll show you the neckline. It's a very nice finish. I didn't have to do anything more than what I did with the neckline when I was knitting it. So it has a very nice finish to it, and yes, I can't say enough. I really, really like it. It's beautiful. It took forever to knit. I actually started this BOWMONT jumper. I cast on January of 2018. And I knit through the spring. And then I just stopped when the days started to warm up. I didn't want to knit with it because it is wool of the Andes, and that's Highland wool by Knit Picks, and the colorway is called Sprinkle Heather, and has a very nice lavender color to it, which I love. This is one of my favorite colors. So yes, I'm super pleased with it. It feels really nice. I've washed it with soak, and it has a very nice feel to it. It's softened up just slightly, and I'm sure as I wash it more often, it'll soften up even more. It has the slightest prickle to it, very slight, but it doesn't bother me at all. You might see me do this because I do feel it most sensitive close to my neck, but other than that, no, not at all. I like it. It's very, very cozy, but it is definitely too warm for a day like today. But I will wear it just so I could show it off in this podcast for you guys. So yes, that is my first finished object. And did I mention it's the BOWMONT jumper, and it's a free pattern by Blacker Yarns, and I'll put up the designer's name on the screen for you to see. So one of my goals for 2019 was to knit 3 garments, and so this would be one of the first of the 3, and I feel really nice about it. It's fingering weight, and it took me a long time, but it's really worth going all the way to the end and finishing it because it feels really, really nice. That is the first finished object, and the second finished object is up there, so I'm just going to take it down. And the second finished object is a pair of socks. These are my March, I'm not in March, I'm in April. These are my April socks, and I have to flip this blocker so that I can show you the design on both sides. So it is a lovely design, and it's called the Sockness Socks by Salapalooza Designs, and I'll put that up on the screen. And there was a promotion, I think, when she just released her pattern, that it was free. Maybe it still is, I'm not too sure, but it's a lovely lace pattern, and I have to say, I'm gonna turn it upside down just so you can see a little more of the sock, but I have to say I really enjoyed working this pattern. It's so it's simple, but yet it looks nice. It's got a little cable twist there ever so often, but you don't even need a cable needle. I just use my stitch marker, the little one that looks like a safety pin. So I just use that. All you're doing is just picking up a few stitches and doing the little cable. So yeah, it was really, really simple. I love the pattern. And what else can I tell you about the pattern? I slightly altered the pattern. I followed the pattern for most part, I'll say it that way, but I slightly altered the pattern in the sense that the design, the lace design starts right off of the, you know, like when you're knitting your first sock, say, it starts right the first few stitches, first X number of stitches. So I found that a little hard, like it was causing a little bit of a lathering when I did the first repeat. So what I did is I altered it just slightly to have the first 2 stitches knit as normal, and then do the lace pattern over the whatever number of stitches it was, and that was quite helpful. And then when I got to the heel, I just totally forgot, because I was having so much fun working the pattern, that I totally forgot about the heel, and I was not prepared with yarn for the contrast, and I did want to put in a contrast heels and toes. So what I did is I just put in waste yarn, and I had to do afterthought heels, which seemed more, it was a good thing in a way, because then I wouldn't be interrupted with my pattern either, because I was a little afraid that if I stopped, I wouldn't remember exactly where, you know, after the heel, I wouldn't remember where I was with the pattern, or I know I could have set up reminders and all that, but I didn't want to. And this is my train knitting, so I try to keep it as simple as possible for me. And yes, so here I have a nice pair of socks. It's got afterthought heels, which is basically, to me, is putting in some waste yarn, picking it up with the right leg of the V's, all the way across the bottom and the top of that row of waste yarn, and then working a toe. And what I did here is just to make some depth into the heel, is I did about an inch of, well, it's a little less than an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch, with just stockinette, and then started the toes. And so this heel fits me really well. I've tried it. I have to say the heel that fits me better than this is the Fish Lips Kiss heel. I'm not too fond of the heel flap, heel turn and gusset, both to knit and to wear. It just feels, maybe I haven't figured it out yet as to how deep I need the heel flap to be, but I don't feel it to be very comfortable for me. So, but then this heel does feel a lot better. It is just a rounded decreased toe that I've done as per the pattern. The other thing, the ribbing was, it's a little on the shorter side. What I usually do is a deeper cuff of maybe 1.5 inches usually, but this time it's just 1 inch, and it is twisted rib for the cuff. So yes, anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed this pattern. I highly recommend it if you're looking for the slightest lace detail, and it moves along so quickly. Yeah, so this is my April socks. I have a few days to go, and I'm already done. So I have like, what, 3 days to go, and I can pick up one of my other projects and work on it on the train, because I'm done with my socks for this month. Moving on to works in progress, I have to say there were periods of time when I didn't have a lot of knitting to do, or I just couldn't concentrate enough on them, but I'm happy that I was able to make some progress on both of the projects that I have to share with you. The first is my ROCQUAINE sweater, or ROCQUAINE pullover, I think it's called. And I will put the designer's name on the screen. So the last time I showed you, I had just, I believe, just completed this detail on the bottom, and I was knitting in the round. And then it asks me to take off a whole bunch of stitches or the back and put it onto some waste yarn and continue knitting the front. So I was knitting it as the front, I will tell you that. So here's my little stitch marker. This is a lovely gift. It's a little owl, and it's a lovely gift from one of my friends. And yeah, so that's where I was the last time, and I was knitting it as per the pattern, but then I noticed that it had, now I can't even find it to show it to you, but there were these irregularities in the yarn. I'm not sure if I can even show it to you, but there were these bumps, and I didn't want it to be right in the front of my garment. Yeah, it's not picking up on camera, but it is there, and it's just these loops, and the yarn is a little splitty, I have to say that, but it has a very nice feel to it. But I didn't want those irregularities to be on the front, so I opted to, because the front and the back are pretty much the same for certain amount of the pattern, or certain, yeah, till a certain row of the pattern. So I am knitting this as my back, and then I'll go back and do the other side as my front. And I just love this Guernsey pattern that it makes. It's very easy. All it is knits and purls. You're following a chart, and it is really, really simple, and yet it has a really nice look to it. So yeah, there you go. And this is again Knit Picks yarn, and it is oh, I've managed to tangle myself here. It is Knit Picks Swish DK, and it's in the color Bordeaux, which is 100% superwash merino wool, and it's DK weight, and it's a put up in 50-gram balls. So I am now on to maybe 4 or 5. So there you go. That is my first work in progress. And now moving on to my second work in progress. And this one is, again, something that requires me to follow a chart very, very closely. And it is something that I've been working on for a while, very slowly, very slow progress on it, I should say. But it is my Sizzle Pop. And this would be my right side, but I have to say it stands out more on this side. So here is my the other side. It's reversible. This is where I was the last time I showed you, is where the marker is, and I've done quite a bit more on it. So which I am super excited about, but I have to say that I have to be so careful, because I've had to repeat a few sections a few times because I lose track, and I don't know how to pick up stitches if I drop stitches in brioche. This is brioche knitting, two-color knitting, and I still don't know how to pick up any stitches or correct any stitches if I've like switched them, or you know, something like that. So all I end up doing is just going back to my lifeline, which is not so visible on that side, maybe on this side. I have several lifelines going, so I just drop back to the closest lifeline and then continue from there. So I've had to knit a few of the sections back up again, you know, after ripping it out once or twice. And yeah, I have to say, like, I think it's best with a project like this, like for me at least, that I don't stress myself over it, but rather try and learn the technique. And this was part of one of those things. I think I started this around back to school KAL that we did last year, where we were trying to learn a new technique. So I am still trying to learn it. I haven't mastered the brioche at all. But I have to say, like, once I get going, then it's easy, you know. But just, if I put it away for a while, then I'm picking it up again. It takes me a little bit to just refresh my memory on how to go about some of the decreases and the increases, which, you know, I have to say that I do have to refer to them. The yarns that I'm using for this, I should mention very quickly. The yellow is Don't Call Me Honey, and it's a yarn by Herbstblatt Regina, and I have to say I love this yellow. It's coming off a little too bright, but it's got a nice honey, there we go, something like that. Like, it's got a it's a tonal yellow, and it's got these nice tones to it. And then the gray is by Little Red Kettlehead, and I don't have the colorway right in front of me. Maybe I do. Let's see. Yep, it's in the Stout Socks BFL, and it's called Stormy Sky. So those are the two colors that I'm using. And you know, this, I have to say, this shawl has grown so much. You can see how much yarn I still have to go. These are 100-gram skeins that I've wound up into cakes. And already I've done, you know, I have so much. So it's going to be a really large shawl. And I can't wait to see it completed. But like I said, I do want to try and enjoy and learn the two-color brioche while knitting it. I was a little ambitious in taking on this project, but I did want to pick something that I would enjoy knitting. So those are my works in progress. And now moving on to acquisitions. I have quite a few things to share with you, and I have them right behind me, so let me just grab that. But to start off first, I received my copy of the Making magazine, and this is volume number 7, and its theme is desert. And it is a really nice magazine. I have to say, I enjoy all the projects that they have in the different volumes so far. And I have the last one, the black and white from fall of 2018 would be the best so far for me. Second would be the volume 1, the very first one. I love those projects, and I still have them on my list of things to make. This one, it was interesting. I didn't find too many things that really stood out to me, things that I would like to make, but one of them was this rag jackrabbit bunny, and it's a pattern bunny. It's a rabbit, jackrabbit, and the pattern is by Susan B. Anderson. So that is something that I might want to try, because I've done a few bunnies already. And let me see, there's another needle case that I wanted to try as well. So I'll try and show it to you without showing you too much of the book, but here there's this needle case that they have, and that's something that I might like to try as a one-day project. I don't know when, but one day I would like to try that. You know, I can see myself using something like that for my needles. My DPNs could be sorted in that, or even just having a place to store all of the single fixed circulars. That would be something. Yeah, so there weren't it's not at all disappointing. Like, it's a nice magazine to look at, but it's just that I could not find too many projects that I would have liked to work on. There are some nice shawl patterns. I like this one, the Xerophyte shawl, and who's it by? It's by Amy van der Laar, and it's a beautiful shawl pattern. It's a nice large shawl. I like large shawls. And there's this lovely Shifting Sands pullover by Nora Goggin, and I think I would like that too. That's nice. It's got the same shape, maybe something like similar to what I'm wearing right now, and I like the texture on it. The botanical print, or not print, but the design is very appealing to me. So that might be something I would like to try as well. So yeah, there are lots of projects in here, and oh, there you go. There's another shot of that pullover again, Shifting Sands pullover, and it looks really nice. So that is the Making number 7, and the theme is desert, and I believe the next theme that they're coming out with is forest. And so that to me is botanical prints and designs, and you know, so I can't wait to see that one. I really am excited about that. The other thing I got is this. I saw a post by KALs, who's a podcaster, and I'll put up the podcast name on here as well. One of her posts on Instagram that she was going to start on an Elton cardigan by Hohi Loktelli, and it had this lovely mohair in the softest pink, baby pink. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, I would love to make a Elton cardigan. I mean, the Elton, I've seen it, and I thought, yeah, that's a nice cardigan, but I couldn't think of how I would be able to wear it until I saw the pink, and I thought, that is something I gotta have. So I you know, found out where she got the yarn from, and it's New to Me yarn company by Milda Bordeaux, and it's called the Royal Yarn and Knitwear. There it is. Oh, it's blowing out like nobody's business. There we go. And I got 6 skeins of this. So I originally wanted, I think I only wanted 3 or 4 of the skeins, and it ordered, but then Milda reached out to me and she said, well, you know, there are only 2 left there. Would you like all 6 of them? And, you know, I'll give you a discount on it. So who can say no to a discount, right? So I said, sure, fine. And I asked her if she would be nice enough to send me some samples of the other base that she had, which had, I think it had the, well, does it say? I think it was like cashmere, merino cashmere maybe. So she was nice enough to send me a few bits of yarn from those bases as well. And I have to say, I really like the yarn. It's really nice. It's very soft. It's very luxurious. And this pink is just beautiful. So obviously I'm not gonna need all 4, you know, all 6 skeins, and I'm hoping that I could do a giveaway with the extra skeins that I have here. So yeah, I'll let you know once I figure out how much I need for the Elton cardigan. So of course, when I went and got the yarn, I had to go get the pattern. So I did that too. It was Hohi's birthday, and she had done a discount on all of her patterns. So I went and picked up the Elton pattern. It all worked out in good time, and so I'm going to be knitting the Elton for myself. So yes, that's going to be once I figure out how much yarn I need, I am going to be using this mohair along with some more of pink yarn that I have, and yeah, from Elton. So that is the other thing that I've acquired, and it is super exciting. Milda Bordeaux, I have to say, great customer service, and it came in super time. So I just if you haven't checked her out, if you haven't checked out this yarn company, if you are in Europe, the price is so reasonable in pounds, in British pounds. Of course, with the conversion, it's a little painful for me, but it was well worth it because she gave me such a great discount on it. So yeah, and then this is the other base. I will put it up on the screen if I can remember, because I think it's merino cashmere, but I'm not sure. I will look at it. I'll look for it and put it up. But yeah, she just sent me a few samples on that, and I'm probably gonna use it into some little project just to see. I love the feel of it. It's amazing, and I would not want to waste this little bit of yarn. And then the other thing, I totally forgot to mention this. So one of my favorite podcasts that I watch is Luli's podcast, and if you have not seen that podcast, I can't imagine anyone who hasn't. But if you have not, check her out. She is very sensible in her knitting. She's got great spectrum of knitting projects. I have to say, like really stunning projects to like very simple stuff as well. And I just love watching her podcast. It's very it's just the aesthetics of it is very calming. It's very inspirational. And yes, one of the things she had going on the beginning of the year she started was the Advent Minis swap. Basically 10 grams, 6 little packages of 10 grams each of yarn that you do a swap with somebody. And this is going to be over 4 quarters. So by the time Christmas comes around, you would have 24 little packages that you could have as your Advent calendar or yarn Advent, I think it is. So yes, so I joined in for the very first time this year. And for my first quarter or quarter one, I was partnered up with Kathleen, who is Old Chesham Knits on Instagram and I believe on Ravelry. And yes, so we swapped and Kathleen sent me all of her little packages wrapped up in Valentine's gift wrap, and I have not opened any of it. I still have them in the package because I'm that kind of person who does not want to open my presents before the time. I can wait. I can wait patiently. I try to put it out of my sight so it's not very tempting. And so I put it out of my sight not to be tempted and totally forgot to mention it. So Kathleen, if you are watching, thank you very much for all the little packages. I don't know what's in there, but I do enjoy you know, I can't wait to see what it'll be when I do open them up for Christmas or around Christmas. But yeah, there you go. I have 6 packages from Kathleen, and they all have very squishy yarn in them. I can feel, and oh, it feels like a little bit of maybe some goodies as well. But yeah, very nice. So yeah, and I also made a new friend, which was really nice. So that's a great way to get to know somebody and, you know, swap mini skeins. And it could be, you know, you could have it's just 10 grams of yarn, and you know, that's a nice way to share yarn with somebody as well. So yes, I've signed up for quarter 2. So if you do watch Luli's podcast, and or if you haven't watched, you should be watching. And yeah, feel free to join in. I think she has it open for quarter 2 until the 1st of May. I believe that's when she's closing it for quarter 2. So yeah, do go by and check it out and join in if you like the fun. But it is definitely fun receiving the packages, and I cannot wait to open them. So those are my acquisitions. Not entirely from the past time. I mean, this one came a while ago, but I just didn't share it with you. I totally forgot. But yes, it's been a lot of fun, and I am looking forward to the nicer weather, but I'm also gonna miss the coolness and, you know, being able to wear the knits more often and all of that. I know that when I am knitting, it is very calming and it's very relaxing, and I have not found another craft as relaxing as knitting or crocheting yet. So thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this episode, and I really thank you for joining me today on my knit night. I hope you got some knitting done. I hope your day has been great so far, and your week ahead will be just as lovely. Take time to knit, take time to relax and enjoy your crafts, and until next time, happy knitting. Bye-bye.